Young Thug attorneys back in court over Lil Wayne bus shooting. A state judge must decide whether there is enough evidence for the 10-year-old case involving the artist Birdman to proceed to trial. Man, what? Atlanta CN. That's for Seti Nash, in case y'all didn't know. Attorneys for Grammy Award-winning hip-hop artist Young Thug were back in court Monday, nearly 2 years after he entered a no-contest plea to racketeering charges in Fulton County. As a part of Georgia's longest criminal trial, this time, however, they're in neighboring Cobb County to fend off a lawsuit from a tour bus driver for Dwayne Carter.
I called 911.
Let me ask you this. You said that the passengers on the bus were screaming. As the bus driver, did you start screaming as well?
No, I couldn't do that.
Why not?
Because I had to maintain control and professional safety for it. Once I got on 285, within minutes, that's when that's when that car came along and started shooting at the bus.
Now, as you're driving, are you able to discern where the shots are coming from? Does it come from the front of the bus, the back of the bus, or somewhere else?
They started at the back of the bus. They shot my engine, shot my radiator, and just started shooting all down the side of the bus.
And at the time, so did you have those passengers, were those passengers that came out of the club, were they still on your bus as this bus is being shot up?
Yeah, they were back there screaming on the floor.
You said they were what?
Back there screaming on.
Man, we got a lot to get into, bro. Let's start it off right here.
Sure.
Mr. Lewis, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
My name is Keith Adams, and I represent Jeffrey Williams. You don't know Jeffrey Williams, do you?
No.
He is, however, someone who is named in your lawsuit that you have filed. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you are, as you sit here, you are a witness in this criminal case, true?
Yes.
You've been subpoenaed as a witness to come in and testify.
I've been subpoenaed, yes.
Right. And you are also the plaintiff in a lawsuit that you have brought against Jeffrey Williams, right?
Yes.
Let's see, Brian Birdman Williams, correct?
Correct.
Cash Money Records, right?
Correct.
Young Money Records, right?
Correct.
Let's see. Jimmy Carlton Winfrey, correct?
Correct.
Damn. How did we get here, though? There was one hidden real rat before anybody did anything, and his name is Jimmy Winfrey. Rolling directly with all of this crap right here. Why does this matter? Why was Young Thug taken into that interrogation room in the first place? Well, because Peewee Roscoe snitched on Young Thug. Wait, what? Hey, Peewee Roscoe, you gonna have to show your paperwork, bro. It's either Young Thug snitched on you or you snitched on him. Oh, but y'all, okay, all right, don't worry about it. Motion to dismiss due to selective prosecution comes now. Jimmy Winfrey, the defendant, by and through undersigned counsel, and respectfully requests this honorable court to dismiss the indictment in this case based on selective prosecution. Defendant Winfrey was on the phone with Jeffrey Williams during this time. How did they find that out? I'm curious. What phone did you give him, Mr. Winfrey? Defendant Winfrey's car was next to the buses at the time of the shooting, and Defendant Winfrey called Brian Williams after the shooting. Essentially, the government asserts that Defendant Winfrey carried out Jeffrey Williams' threat against Dwayne Carter by shooting at the buses. The indictment implies that Jeffrey Williams, Brian Williams, and Defendant Winfrey were accomplices in this criminal activity. Furthermore, the indictment alleges that both Brian and Jeffrey Williams were involved in the racketeering activity of Defendant Winfrey, which culminated in the alleged shooting, in spite of the state's own allegations. So the state said neither Jeffrey Williams nor Brian Williams have been charged or arrested as co-conspirators to this racketeering activity. So if they didn't do that, how did they figure that part out? Argument and citation to authority. The state is clearly culpable of selectively prosecuting Mr. Winfrey while wholly neglecting Jeffrey and Brian Williams' role in the offense charge. Under Georgia law, selective prosecution occurs when one, others similarly situated to a defendant uniformly have not been prosecuted. And two, the discriminatory prosecution of the defendant is based upon an impermissible motive such as race, religion, or some other arbitrary or unjustified standard. State versus AN, Georgia. We ain't finna read all that. The party seeking to prove selective prosecution bears the burden of proving the misconduct by the weight of the evidence, which means what party is seeking to add them? It's clearly not the prosecution because Jeffrey Williams and Brian Williams ain't in this. So how did they get there? Jimmy Winfrey. Jimmy Winfrey basically has his lawyer get this going. The party is seeking to prove selective prosecution, meaning we gonna prove that Young Thug and Birdman are involved in this. Interesting. So the existence of an arbitrary or unjustifiable standard may be inferred by a showing that similar offenses have gone uninvestigated or unprosecuted, that the district attorney knew or should have known such offenses, and that the failure to act without reasonable and responsible explanation. In this case, or the case at bar, the Messrs. Williams are similarly situated to Mr. Winfrey, but have not been prosecuted. Thus, the first prong selective prosecution has been met. Additionally, the state's inaction as to both Messrs. Williams demonstrative that its prosecution of Mr. Winfrey's is impermissibly based upon an arbitrary standard. First, Brian Williams' financial dispute with Dwayne Carter is what ultimately led to the shooting. As such, Brian Williams should be held as liable as a party to the crime. Because the motive is, I told them to kill or try to get Lil Wayne because of a money dispute. Finding that out because the defendant, as a willing participant in the gunfight which caused the victim's death, well, we're going to go right back. So what they're saying is C. Smith versus State, finding that because the defendant, as a willing participant in the gunfight which caused the victim's death, was thereby liable for felony murder as a party to the crime, even if he did not fire the shot that killed the victim. Further, Brian Williams made threats to shoot Dwayne Carter on his Instagram account 5 days prior to the shooting. So it wasn't Young Thug who did that. It was who? Birdman. Likewise, Jeffrey Williams had issues with Dwayne Carter. Jeffrey Williams made threats to shoot Dwayne Carter on a music video prior to the shooting. Brian Williams and Jeffrey Williams' actions, as alleged by the state, make them parties to the crime. In an incident case, the state has nevertheless failed to charge Brian Williams and Jeffrey Williams in this action is without any reasonable explanation. In fact, the government's response, if any, in validating its actions and not prosecuting these two men would defy credulity. Under these circumstances, the existence of an arbitrary or unjustifiable action can be inferred on the part of the state. Thus, Mr. Winfrey has met his burden of proving the state has engaged in selective prosecution, and thus the indictment against him should be dismissed. Wherefore, the defendant asks this honorable court to dismiss the indictment against him based on selective prosecution. Respectfully submitted the 8th day of July 2015. Aurora, that's my guy Manny Aurora, and Lawrence J. Zimmerman. If Young Thug's lawyers are watching or Birdman's lawyers are watching, I want to give y'all the blueprint to how to defeat this lawsuit. You are watching a master at work, aka, to me, my favorite, my uno, Mr. Keith Adams.
On the lawsuit that you filed, you know that on the night of April 25th into April 26th of 2015, you know that Jeffrey Williams was hundreds of miles away when this incident occurred. Don't you know that?
I don't know that.
All right. That's not information that you've garnered during the course of your lawsuit?
It's been a lot. I don't try to recollect all that stuff.
You don't know what's going on in the lawsuit that you brought?
Yeah, I do.
Objection, this characterization.
I sustain the objection.
Okay. Is the company that you were driving for that night Pioneer? Is that right?
Yes.
Are they party to the lawsuit against Jeffrey Williams?
No, they're not.
Okay, it's just you, right?
Yes.
And that is a $30 million lawsuit that you have brought against someone that you didn't even see that night. True?
True.
Matter of fact, Brian Birdman Williams, you didn't see him that night either, did you?
No.
Okay. If I heard you correctly, you were not able to describe to the police or any detective or anyone any description of anyone who did any shooting on the night of the 25th going into the 26th. Is that true?
That's correct.
You didn't see anyone, did you?
That's correct.
In fact, when you testified earlier about this person who walked up to you and asked for Al, you remember that?
Yes.
You didn't give a description, or you weren't asked to give a description of that person to the police at any point, were you?
No.
Clear something up for me. You said it was odd that the person came and asked for Al, right?
Right.
Your name is Al, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. And today is not the first time that you have been called upon to give testimony about the incident of the 25th and 26th. Is that true?
This is the first time I called to testify, yes.
Have you had a deposition as part of your $30 million lawsuit against Mr. Williams?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And in that deposition, you were asked questions by attorneys, correct?
Correct.
And you were asked to recount the incidents or the incident on the 25th going into the 26th. Is that true?
Yes.
All right. And you were able to recount and give them as many details as you could remember from that night.
As I remember, yes.
All right. Now, this is 2015, or the incident is 2015. So we're talking about
9 years.
About 9 years ago. Is that
Yes.
true? And it's fair to say that it's a very traumatic incident, right?
Very much so.
So much so, I mean, obviously, I've noticed that you've been upset and you were crying out. You were upset, I understand, that you've been testifying about this. Isn't that right?
Yes, it is.
All right. Now, the 911 call that we heard a little bit earlier, true to say, that was you on that 911 call, right?
Yes.
And you were able to hold it together. You were very calm when you were making that 911 call, true?
True.
You were able to give whatever details you gave during that 911 call very calmly while the bus was being shot at, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I heard, you tell me if you heard the same thing, on the 911 call, when you were giving the description about this white car and a white truck, there was someone in the background who was kind of telling you, yeah, it was a white car or something like that. Do you remember hearing that?
Yes.
Okay. Who was that person that was talking to you at that time?
Probably was Jim.
Probably?
He was the one next to me. There was like 12 people on the bus, so I'm not sure who was the one behind me in my ear, but it probably was Jim, which was next to me.
That would be James Mulvey, right?
I don't know his name. I know him from Jim. I don't know.
No disrespect to Brian Steele, but I wish Keith Adams had jumped on the case with Brian Steele because, to me, EJ and Keith Adams had the coldest cross-examinations. Then my guy, Dougie Fresh, yeah. Those are my three. I'm just going to be fair, square, obvious, and honest. But let's finish up this interesting thing that has Young Thug and Birdman back in the court due to what Peewee Roscoe alleged against him at the time to get out of jail. Alvin Lewis was driving the bus carrying Carter and his entourage when it was riddled with bullets while leaving a concert in Atlanta over 10 years ago. No one was struck or injured, but Lewis is seeking damages for emotional distress and claims Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams, and Brian Williams, the rapper known as Birdman, are responsible. The two are collaborators, but not relatives. But the rappers argue there is no direct evidence or eyewitnesses linking them to the gunfire or showing that the April 25th, 2025 shooting was carried out by one of their employees or agents. Instead, Lewis relies solely on prejudicial evidence about gangs and speculation over a dispute between Carter and the other artists leading up to the attack. Attorney Jeffrey Riley said. Lewis attorney Jeffrey Gurwitz argued that Jeffrey Williams and Brian Williams paid Jimmy Winfrey, known as Peewee Roscoe, who was arrested in connection with the shooting after Atlanta police found his white Camaro with an assault rifle. Winfrey initially pled guilty to gang charges in February 2018 and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. However, the Georgia Superior Court reversed that conviction later that year, ruling that Winfrey's plea was given involuntarily. He later accepted a plea deal in the racketeering case against Jeffrey Williams and accused members of Young Slime Life gang, where the tour bus shooting was cited as an overt act of the criminal enterprise. Let me say that one more time. Yeah, let me read that again for y'all. He later accepted a plea deal in the racketeering case against Jeffrey Williams and accused members of Young Slime Life gang, where the tour bus shooting was cited as an overt act of the criminal enterprise. Phone calls between Jeffrey Williams and Winfrey show he was trying to gain street cred and was being rewarded for not being a rat, Jurich said. But Riley told the judge that a $25,000 payment Jeffrey Williams made for Winfrey's legal fees was just a case of helping out his childhood friend. He said Winfrey never worked for Jeffrey Williams, Brian Williams, or either of their record labels. Georgia law does not support such a broad brush of liability, Riley said. Jurwitz and Winfrey was directed to carry out the shooting on the rappers. Following a dispute between musicians, and the incident was a foreseeable and directed attack. In the months before the incident, Carter said Brian Williams and his company, Cash Money Records, were refusing to release his album and that his works were prisoner to the label. Carter sued seeking lost revenue and termination of his contract. He won a settlement for more than $10 million in 2018. And I can tell y'all why, but I always tell every rapper to do it, so why keep on repeating the same tired-ass story? We just have a $10 million thing going on because of an audit, but whatever. Carter also told Jeffrey Williams he could not use his name for an album title, as Williams attempted to take over the 5-album Carter series by releasing a new record under the name Barter 6. About 5 days before the shooting, Jeffrey Williams posted a recording on his Instagram account containing taunts and threats of violence against Carter, Jurwitz told the judge. Riley said Jeffrey Williams admired Carter, wanted to pay homage to him through the album, and testified in his deposition that Carter was one of his idols. He added that Jeffrey Williams was not in Atlanta at the time of the shooting because he was way the hell in New Orleans. Cobb County Chief Judge Eric Bruton was asked to toss most of Lewis submitted evidence as the defendant's argument contains accounts of hearsay and inappropriate expert opinions. Bruton said he will decide as soon as possible if the now decade-old case will move forward to trial. So there you have it. My hands lay bare. Peewee Roscoe has officially made it so that Birdman and Lil Wayne and Young Thug all engaged in shit online that culminated in something that he did that he actually didn't even do. I done talked to a bunch of people, and they looked me dead in my face. They didn't say who the shooter was or no shit like that, because we don't need all that. They said, bruh, man, Peewee Roscoe actually did not fire no shots at no damn Lil Wayne's tour bus. He actually got Lil Boyd. Just like the ABGs. Shout out to the ABGs. You know what I'm saying? That flushed your goddamn glasses in the, yeah, man. Come on, brother. You know how this go. Come on, man. You know the ABGs who flushed your glasses down the toilet? And then when them Crips was getting it on and you told them you was a Christian? Don't make me, you know them B-Dogs out there, they rocking with Nash. I know a whole lot of ABG OGs and they all corroborate that story. But neither here nor there, man. Let's get on with it for sure. Are they able to beat this? Absolutely. But I think what the driver is going to ultimately try to do is try to settle. And if he does, I think that the lawyers will smell blood. So we'll see how the judge does it. But in my early opinions, I think the judge proceeds. I do. I think the judge proceeds with it. Try to convince me any other way but different, but I think the judge actually proceeds with this shit. Because there is enough there. The YSL trial proved that. They proved the calls. They proved all this shit. They didn't prove actually that Jimmy Winfrey actually got in contact with Young Thug at all. That was proven not. So I think Young Thug is probably going to be able to be let go out of this. But that plea deal, they're going to bring that old plea deal up that Jimmy Winfrey said is fake. So if they bring up a fake plea deal, it destroys the whole entire case. And that guy, the bus driver and his lawyers, they won't have no lawsuit. But if they bring up that lawsuit that I just showed y'all and it's actually real, Jimmy Winfrey, you know, you need to stop doing this and do this. And then do this. I mean, sit down. Hey, but it is what it is. Slack.